Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the HOC News. Tonight we're going to talk about the most bombshell story I've seen in maybe my entire life. I mean, this is just one of the biggest earth-shattering stories, and again, it follows up with the last video we talked about, the FBI and the weaponization of law enforcement and the DOJ and all these other things that are going on in our country right now that are making me want to just pull the brakes and go, wait a minute, we got to stop this tyranny from taking hold, because that's what we're in the middle of right now. Oftentimes I've had conversations with my wife about, how the Jewish people were able to, fall into all the traps that Hitler had set for them. Well, it was just like this. They lost their liberties one step at a time. And tonight we're going to talk about something that's unprecedented in American history. As far as I can tell, this has never happened before. The FBI yesterday, I'm sure you've heard by now, has raided President Trump's Mar-A-Lago home. And they went in and broke into a safe. Supposedly the safe was empty, according to Don Jr. Apparently Trump is not even there at the residence right now. He's at some other place, one of his other houses. So he wasn't even on location. But the FBI, according to the reports, treated his staff terribly. They came in fully armed with like at least 24 to 30 FBI agents, fully armed, tactical gear. Came in, took these people out of an air-conditioned house, and keep in mind, this is in Florida, so they took them outside, made them sit outside in like 90-plus degree temperatures the entire time. Meanwhile, they were going through Mrs. Trump's wardrobe and stuff, looking for something. They apparently, they're claiming they found a locked basement area with a whole bunch of files and things like that. And what they claim they're going for is classified information that President Trump removed from the White House. Now, there's a problem with that whole deal. See, when you're the president, you can actually declassify documents like that. So it could have been that he declassified these things or was saving some of these documents because he planned on doing like every other president in history has done, building a presidential library. Obama did it. Bill Clinton did it. George Bush did it. Every one of them do it. They build a library, and a lot of those documents about important matters that they were dealing with, negotiations, and, he might bring something into his library that might talk about how he actually was the first president in history to go over and talk to the North Koreans and actually went over there. That was pretty brave, So I'm sure he has documents proving that he did that sort of stuff, things he signed and things like that. There's nothing unusual about a president, an ex-president, keeping a lot of these documents. So what they're doing is really scary. It's just straight up totalitarian. This is crazy. I can't believe. I was just telling my wife yesterday, I was like, I can't believe that we actually lived to see it. They actually did it. They're doing it, guys. This is the full-blown destruction of everything that's good about the United States of America. Our right to due process, things like that, We're going to get to something here later that's a bombshell about the judge that actually is the one that signed this, the warrant to go in there. So we're going to talk about that. He's connected to Epstein, believe it or not. So anyways, of course, there was the big MAR-A-LAGO raid yesterday. This is all about the weaponization of law enforcement and the DOJ and the J6 committee. So I read an interesting story a little while ago. His name's been coming up a lot here lately, and not necessarily because I want to talk about him all the time, but it's just he's in the news. They say there's an Alex Jones connection. If you followed the Alex Jones trial, you probably saw there was a certain point where it was like a gotcha moment for the plaintiff's lawyers, where they accused Alex Jones's attorneys of turning over information on Alex Jones's cell phone that, they shouldn't have had to turn over or whatever. They accidentally let them have it. And the plaintiff's attorney asked the judge if he was allowed to release this to law enforcement. And they said, well, what do you mean? The judge said, what do you mean, law enforcement? He says, well, the January 6th committee. So apparently they've already been after him to try to get information off Alex Jones's phone, assuming that he's been communicating with Trump in some way or another regarding January 6th. Well, Alex Jones denies it. He said there was nothing on there that they could get from him, but it is very interesting, the timing of everything. Alex's phone was just released like a few days ago. The plaintiff's lawyer said he was going to turn it over to January 6th committee. This is my opinion right here. I think the J6 committee is running out of steam, and they realize that their bullshit is not sticking to the wall anymore. It's sliding right down. The American people aren't paying any attention to that shit they're throwing. So, because of that, they're trying to, no pun intended, trump up more charges and and if they have to make up something, because let's look at what this really is. The J6 committee, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, all of the rest of the establishment Democrats, and a lot of the rhinos do not want Donald Trump to run again for president, because they know they can read the polls. They can read the writing on the wall. So they're like, hey, if he runs, especially against this empty vessel we've got here, Joe Biden, I mean, we made the people, he got 80 million votes last time and everything, but we may not be able to pull that off again, this time around with the economy the way it is, the gas prices the way it is. He may not win. Trump will probably win. And they realize that, no matter how many people they go and register and all this other stuff. So I think that's what this is all about. They're trying to make sure that Trump is ineligible to run again during the next presidential election. That's what it's all about. And so they're trying to make all these connections, whether that be with Alex Jones, I saw a video of Alex Jones basically doing heroic things that day on J6. He was telling people, don't go in the Capitol. Get out of here. You're doing the wrong thing. Don't fall for this. This is basically an inside job. They're trying to get you to go in there. These are provocateurs put here by the FBI. And the more I see, the more I believe that was true. And Antifa and other people that were plants there that day. Because most of the patriots I know, they don't act like that. And that was very uncharacteristic that day. But, they're trying to just keep this thing alive. It's beating that old dead horse. So Trump, rightfully so, is worried. He said in a statement that he's worried the FBI will plant evidence, incriminating evidence that will make him look guilty, whether he is or not. They'll plant something there, and that's very possible. I mean, would you doubt it? When you've seen the things that the FBI is willing to do, and it's always targeted at one side of the political aisle. It's always targeted towards right-wing people. They use the FBI against right-wing people, even when we had the presidency and the Senate and the House. The FBI is showing their true colors. They are, they're that hidden, how exactly did Obama put it back in the day? He wanted an equal force that was just as capable as the U.S. military and the police force to be here in the United States operating under his command. And that's what it sounds like is going on with the FBI and other alphabet agencies that are under their wing. So this is just pure, flat-out cronyism, corruption to the maximum level 11, level 12. This is just earth-shattering news. This is, again, unprecedented. This has never happened. No, even Nixon didn't have this happen to him. So, the FBI, meanwhile, they apprehended a GOP representative while he was traveling with his wife, like on vacation, and his family and stuff. They apprehended him, and I'm sure they weren't nice about it, and they seized his phone. So, assuming there's some sort of connection there, because it was day after they raided Mar-A-Lago. So, one bit of good news here is if you're a Trump supporter, the day after, Trump shatters all fundraising records. So previously held fundraising records have all been shattered because his people are seeing that this is a government out of control abusing their powers. I don't care if you're on the left or the right. You can't do this. You can't use the Justice Department and the FBI to target your political enemies. This is not only unconstitutional, it's just bad form. It's bad taste. You don't do that. And it's very dangerous. If you don't know, if you can do it now, next time around, if the Republicans take power, they'll do it to you. So you're setting a dangerous precedence here. Just unfreaking believable. So Trump shattering records with all of his fundraising. Biden and Pelosi do what they do best, and they play dumb. And also Jeannie Perret, whatever the press secretary's name is, she's playing dumb. And Trump says it was all a coordinated attack. I tend to agree with Trump. I think this was a coordinated attack. Biden probably said, hey, shake it up. Because honestly, this is backfiring in their face. It's making Trump's chances of winning the 2024 presidential election, I mean, almost guaranteed. Unless they've got some card up their sleeve and they know there's something, the Democrats, they know there's something that's just going to guarantee them the next election. And I can't talk too much about what that thing might be, but it would be very similar to what happened during 2020. Let's just leave it at that. GOP leader, if you can call him that, Mitch McConnell, he hides in his shell. He looks like a turtle, so that's what I wrote this. He hides in his shell and refuses to answer any questions regarding the Mar-A-Lago FBI raid put on by Biden. Why? Because he was probably in on it. Even CNN, this is how bad it's gotten. Even CNN's legal analysis is saying that the FBI raid is not warranted. He says it's a daring and dangerous move by the Department of Justice. Merrick Garland. I did a video a while back, and maybe I'll link it here at the end of the video. Hang around to the end if you want to see this video. But I talked all about a lot of Biden's appointees and Merrick Garland. I can't remember all the specifics, but he's been tied to a lot of different things. I can't remember if he was the one that was tied to Waco or no. It was Oklahoma City. And the way, the terrible handling of that investigation that happened in the Oklahoma City Tim McVeigh situation. The whole thing was just a clusterfuck. If you ever followed that thing, or if you want to see something that's like a pretty wild rabbit hole, go start looking into the Oklahoma City MAR-A bombing, MAR-A building, I believe it was called, MAR-A bombing. Back in the 90s sometime, like mid-90s. Really interesting stuff. A lot of stuff just, suddenly, at first they were saying there was like 2 bombs or 3 bombs. And then at the end they were like, oh, no, it's just the one bomb. And it was just the one guy, Tim McVeigh. And there was like a John Doe number 2 and a number 3. And they never found those other guys, whatever. They found the Terry Nichols guy, but not the other guy, number 3. They just quit looking for him. Why is that? Probably because he was working for one of the alphabet agencies. Probably because he gave them the stuff, the plans to make this explosive device and told them what to do. Because that's what these people do. They do it over and over and over. They entrap these people. I think when the whole veil is lifted on all this stuff, we're going to find out a lot of these school shootings and shooters have been inspired. No one has ever said, how did that Uvalde kid get a hold of $4,000 worth of AR-15s and gun, and ammunition and accoutrements to pull that crap off that he pulled off? How exactly did that happen? Working at Wendy's, you say? I know when I was working in fast food, when I was a teenager, I didn't have an extra $4,000 to spend, but maybe times are different now. I guess kids at Wendy's probably make 15 or 20 bucks an hour now for standing around surfing on their phone, whatever. It's just unbelievable. Even CNN is like, hey, wait a minute. Whoa, this is too much. So the last story I want to talk about here is the judge. And I didn't get the guy's name because he ain't worth mentioning. You can go look it up yourself. The judge who signed the warrant for this unconstitutional, un-American search ordered by Biden and Merrick Garland and the FBI, was an Obama appointee. So is that a coincidence? No, of course it's not a coincidence. And he also defended Epstein's associates. So not Jeffrey Epstein himself, but there's the Epstein connection. It's like, what is that? What was that old thing about like 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon? It's like everybody in Washington, D.C. is like 1 degree from Jeffrey Epstein, who would be a worthy, person for the FBI to be investigating. Or how about all the people that burned down structures and caused all kinds of rioting and chaos and killed people during the summer of love in 2020? How about that? Has the FBI done one fucking bit of investigation on any of that stuff? I don't think so. And anytime you hear about one of these Antifa people or Chop Chaz where they took over an entire section of a city, isn't that worth investigating those people? No, nothing to see there. But, if you even said January 6th on January 6th, they're investigating your ass. Or if you've got a Gadsden flag, like we talked about in the last video. I'm not going to go through all the symbols, but it's just unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. This is tyranny, without a doubt. And if we allow, as American people, we the people, this is where we have to stand up and say, no, you can't do this. And I'm not saying do anything violent or anything like that, but it's time for us to peacefully non-comply. The party's over, guys. We're not living in the land of the free, the home of the brave anymore, unless people like you and me become the brave, and we go out and we do the right thing, and we stand up against tyranny in every form of tyranny on the mind of man. We must stand up against it. It's not only for us and our own well-being, it's for the future, our kids. I mean, I've got a child. I want her to have children someday and be a grandparent someday, and I want them to have opportunity, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the breadbasket of the world. All of that stuff under Biden has been ripped right out from underneath us. He told us when he came in he was going to go after meat and beef and stuff like that. What has he done? What has he done? Or what is he doing? He hasn't completely killed it yet, but he's going to. You can see the direction they're going. No gas for you. I mean, it's looking like it's going to be a Mad Max future. So hang on tight, guys. Let me know what you're thinking about down in the comments. Does this piss you off? I mean, is this wrong? Is this an abuse of power? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I stand for liberty. I hope you do too. I hope the country stands. I mean, you do certain things and you just can't take it back. Once you see certain things, you can't unsee them, right? Well, once certain things happen and once certain things are broken here in this country, they can't be undone. And I think, honestly, and I'm not calling for it, I think it would be terrible, but I think our enemies abroad and our enemies internal want a civil war. They want people to go out and start acting out. So whatever you do, don't do that. Don't go out and start acting out, because that's exactly what our enemies want. They want people to pin the blame on, to say, look there, see there? That's why we got to ban guns. That's why we got to ban AR-15s. It's because these fanatics out there that, blah, blah, blah. They're right-wing, extremist, nationalists. They love the United States of America and believe in American exceptionalism. Well, I got a message for people that don't believe in American exceptionalism. Get the fuck out. We don't want you here. Go to Venezuela or go to, wherever else you want to go. Go somewhere else. We'll buy you the ticket. Just leave peacefully so that we don't have to have a civil war, because that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like is going to come, guys. And I don't want that. I hope it doesn't happen. But unless the adults get control, and I mean rapidly, by impeaching Biden, getting rid or sanctioning or whatever they call it, censuring or whatever they call it to Nancy Pelosi and any of these other people, these rhinos like Romney and McConnell and all these other, Lindsey Graham, all these other people have to go. We have to vote them out. We're in real trouble, guys. Stock up, prepare while you can. This thing ain't going to last very much longer. I don't feel good about anything anymore in this country. Unsettling times. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time.